In Lord of the Rings, there's a fellowship. There's battles, there's hero moments, there's deep, dark, and it unpacks the whole emotions of what it's like to live one's own life on a quest. But no one remembers the time in the book of The Lord of the Rings where Frodo is not the hero. In fact, he doesn't even know if he's going to be a hero. He's confused, he's scrambling over rocks, he doesn't know what direction, he feels lost. And that can be like the start of an idea, because we develop an idea in our mind and then we quite often go, well, I don't know how to develop it further. I don't know what to do with it. How do I move that idea from A to B? And this is the time where 99% of ideas end up in the bin. It's at that very tiny moment when the idea forms and then the mind doesn't like to develop the idea because it thinks of all of the reasons why not to do this idea. In the book The Lord of the Rings, there is the Shire. Now, the Shire is a place of the familiar. It's a place of comfort. It's a place you come home and you forget about the outside world. You don't develop the idea unless there's something deep inside you that says there's something bigger than this Shire. There's something bigger than this comfort, and I'm willing to leave this comfort and do something uncomfortable. And it gets to the point where you've left the Shire and you're now in a place in Lord of the Rings, which is called Rivendell. Rivendell in Lord of the Rings is a beautiful place, and it's the place where you may go if you decide to leave the Shire and you go into Rivendell, and that's where the sparks are flying. So you're researching your idea, you're looking into the pros and cons of your idea, you're maybe talking to people about your idea of what the benefits will be and validating your idea. Rivendell is the place where you come together outside of the idea itself and start to go deep diving into the idea. Like Frodo in Rivendell, he hears the burden of what he's about to do, right? So it feels like a bit of a burden because you're like, oh my gosh, I've looked into this idea and there's like 100 different things I would have to do to move this idea from A, validation, to B, into something real. And that's also where the mind goes, oh my gosh, I don't want to do 100 things. But the only way, like Frodo could even survive this whole journey, is just by taking small steps and not worrying about the next big step, because otherwise Frodo would have just like left Rivendell, he would have left his quest and he would have gone back to the Shire and started watching Netflix. Next part of your idea is the fellowship. So in Lord of the Rings, there's this wonderful fellowship that forms and it feels like safe. You're like, wow, this idea is going something. But the fellowship, it falls apart. People split. They go in different directions. And then you're back alone on your journey wondering, wow, where am I going to go next? This is exactly what happens when you've got an idea. At first, it's all wonderful. You go through this sort of dopamine hit of, this is an amazing idea, I'm starting to do actions. And then your mind is like the fellowship, right? The positive parts can fall apart and the deep and the darkness of you comes to light, right? It almost pops out and says, okay, this is getting hard. This is getting, maybe there's some costs involved. Maybe you're not sure of the next move, right? So it's like the fellowship. All of the brightness of the idea starts to fall apart. And that's where most people quit their idea. But you need to know you're on the hero's journey. This isn't the part to quit. This is the part to reflect, double down, and keep going. The next part of your journey is the Two Towers. It's the part where Frodo and Sam are in a place called Eamon Muir. It's this crazy mountain that's jagged rocks, and every way they go, they feel jumbled up. And that's like your idea. So you're developing your idea and it's not quite getting to where you want. And it feels like those jagged rocks. You're going around in circles. Perhaps it's not moving fast enough. Perhaps you're not applying enough patience. Perhaps you're wanting it to go from making you money of, maybe it's making you $200 a month and you're wanting it to be $10,000 a month. You're on these jagged rocks and you're like, well, how do I push this idea even further out into the world, and how do I get traction? And again, this is the part where most people want to just throw it all in, go back to the Shire, get back to the comfort, and just watch their Netflix. I like to call this part uncertainty, because the mind, we love the familiar. So when you're in the uncertain part, you're going to have to again take control by not looking too much forward, because if you're looking too far forward, you won't be able to solve those tiny little things. So just apply what even Steve Jobs did. He's like, what are the 3 things I can do today? What are the 3 most important things? Ignore the rest and just apply 3 things. That is the most important part in this journey. In the book, The Lord of the Rings, Frodo has Gandalf. He doesn't really always have him physically, but he has a sense that he's there. He has a memory. He has moments of clarity where Gandalf comes in. Frodo could never do this journey unless he had those moments of Gandalf coming in, because that is like the mind. That is where things are going wrong, but your Gandalf, your inner pilot life, starts to come through for you. It's where it tells you, I believe in you. You are going on the right path, even when it feels difficult. You've got to find within you your Gandalf, your inner pilot life, your belief system. And that can be where it all unravels, right? And that means that there's no one cheering you on, but inside you, you will find tiny little moments where you're believing in yourself. And if you're going out into the day, you've got to put your hands in your pocket and pull out more belief than putting your hands into your pocket and pulling out self-doubt. So when you pull out a moment of self-doubt with your own idea, think of going back into your pocket and going, well, what's the belief? What do I believe in? And pull out another moment. It's in that present moment, by looking at the self-doubt and pulling out a belief moment, that you can actually continue going on the journey and not going back to the Shire. Lord of the Rings, Frodo doesn't actually finish the journey. Sam finishes the journey. And Sam I like to refer to as your stubbornness. So in the moments of your idea, you're going to be looking to find your stubbornness. That is your time where you go, I will not quit. I will keep going, even though you're looking outside of it and you're going, this is rainy, this is dark, this idea isn't going to where I want. You need to find some stubbornness in you. That moment where Sam comes forward and goes, you know what? I've got your back. It's hard. I'm listening to you, and we're going to keep going forward. Frodo is your vision and Sam is your persistence. And that is the key. No one has ever created an idea without the most vital ingredients, persistence. So that means you persistently show up every single day and you do small steps to get where you are, right? So even when you feel like I can't do anything today, maybe there's one tiny thing you've got to bring out your inner Sam, your inner persistence, because the idea will never get into something real without finding your persistence. In The Lord of the Rings, you may remember Gollum. Gollum is absolutely obsessed with the ring. All he thinks about is the ring. All he dreams about is the ring. All he wants is the ring. Now that is a vital ingredient with an idea. You have to have some form of Gollum in you, some form of obsession that means that no matter what, you will keep going forward. And if your idea is not big enough within you, so you really feel like this is something I really want to do, if you don't really want to do it and you have some form of obsession with it, you will never take that idea all the way through to a startup, to becoming something huge, becoming a business, becoming more than a side hustle. So you've got to look at that idea and go, can I be Gollum? Can I have some form of obsession with this idea? And if the answer is no, maybe that's not the right idea. Maybe you need to look at another idea. So to summarize your idea from going from this little spark right to something that's real, that's actually either going to make you money, is going to be a side hustle, is going to be, could be something free. Maybe you're not even wanting to make money, but you're really wanting to make a difference to people. You're going to have to leave the Shire. You're going to have to leave the comforts. You're going to have a Sam in you. Sam's going to take you forward. Sam's going to be persistent. Sam's going to want to finish the journey. You need to have a Gollum in you. Gollum is, that idea is something that I absolutely can keep going forward with. I'm going to have some form of obsession with in order to go through the dark moments. And in the dark moments, you're going to have to go into your pocket and not pull out a ring, but you're going to have to pull out self-belief, that you believe so much in this idea, that you're obsessed so much with this idea, that you can be persistent enough with this idea to keep going forward, even when the mind wants to trick you and take you back to the familiar and back to the comforts of doing nothing. So if you've got an idea, I hope that I've given you the journey of the idea. So look at your ideas and think, can I bring all of those ingredients together in order to take this idea forward into the world? Because if you can, amazing things can happen.